Last few weeks, I have been concentrating largely on the welfare of the children of Uganda in view of what does it entail to the future of Uganda. I want to continue on that theme, but also bear in mind that politics does not take place in a vacuum, so I shall also be addressing some of the contemporary issues at hand. First and foremost, let me on my own behalf extend my condolences to the people of Germany for the loss of General Moses Ali. I had the opportunity to interact with him in Parliament, several parliaments we have been together, and over time, there's a single central message which Moses Ali would share with some of us. And he kept on talking about the unity of our peoples. We must remain focused and work towards the unity of our peoples. In line with that, I will not dwell on areas which I am not familiar, but stick on what I know and what I understand on the life of Moses Ali. But that said, when I was following the procedures at Parliament yesterday, there are matters which concerned me on what the President said concerning the UPC. In light of that, I went into my archives to cross-check. And I do not want to leave an impression of UPC different from what I understand it, or on the position of Milton Obote from what I know it to be. I'll go first to 1971. In a document issued in July of 1971, Milton Obote writes, and I quote, "The objectives of our struggle and resistance are not for the advancement of individual or group causes, and not for the purposes of ensuring any Ugandan the position he held before the coup, and not for purposes for revenging the dead or punishing individuals or groups." This contradicts the word of the President. But this is written by UPC in 1971. He writes further, "Ours is not a struggle and must not be a struggle against individuals or groups of any part of Uganda. Our struggle is for stability, freedom, and independence." Note, Milton Obote in 71 is writing, our struggle is not against individuals or communities. He goes further, the crimes committed during or after the coup were committed by Amin and his clique and not their relatives or tribes. 71. I can go further in 72, before the invasion which the President talked about yesterday. Again, the same theme. The President or Milton Obote kept on the same theme, and he warned on certain areas. One area he warned about in 72 is a change brought about by comparatively few people or a narrowly based group can easily lead to autocratic rule. So when you hear people saying we liberated, we fought, therefore must be there, this was a warning in 72. He also said the only method which will change the situation as well as ensure the unity, dignity, and power of the people is the liberation of the people by the people of Uganda. Let the people exercise democracy and thus preparing themselves for the future. So the Milton Obote I know is very different from the one which the President was describing yesterday, or the UPC, which was being described yesterday. Again in 79, January 79, and these are direct quotes which I am giving, which can be cross-checked. On equal civil rights, Obote says, I do not claim to have any special civil rights different from those of my fellow Ugandans. Every human being has a right to personal safety. All of these I can continue. 1980, when he landed in Bushenyi, there's a bit here where he talks about the war was fought so that all Ugandans, irrespective of their tribe, religion, may walk tall in their own country. The war of liberation was fought so that the people of Uganda, all tribes, may live in harmony and in peace and prosperity. This theme continues on the budget speeches, and here I want to be very clear that the annals of Uganda, the history of Uganda, will be found in many of what is said in the floor of Parliament. On the floor of Parliament, 1981, again, Milton Obote continues with the same theme of no revenge, no. It talks about the theme of building Uganda. So where do we get this issue of Milton Obote, the killer? Milton Obote, the killer. I had an opportunity to discuss at length with Milton Obote on one aspect about killing. And he told me, and he gave me the reasons why he chose never to sign a death warrant. Milton Obote is on record not to sign a death warrant. This is a man who is trying to be portrayed as a killer. Me, a Kenya son of Obote, I know the Obote who I treasure, the Obote who built this party, the Obote who created an avenue where Ugandans can thrive. I refuse to accept that label, and I can prove it. The words, the deeds. So, as we lay, as Moses Ali's chapters end, the chapter for Uganda or the child of Uganda must not end. I don't accept distortions of history, and therefore I want to go back to the theme which I started. In the last 3 weeks or so, I raised the question and allowed 26% of Ugandan children under 5 are stunted. 2 million Ugandan children today, as I speak in 2026, not in 1980, not in 1972, not in I don't know whatever year, in 2026, we have 2 million Ugandan children who are stunted, whose future is going to be bleak. Before the end of primary one, that is where I want to talk about. We want to get distractions. Issues about UPC, trying to disorganize UPC. But the problem we face today is 2 million Uganda children under 5 who are stunted. I can bring the figures. If you go into primary school, we have worse situation where it continues. My cry is for the future of Uganda. I am not going to be held by history, but a history which is a distortion. We've worked on ideas which can develop this country. And one of the issues of parliamentary practice is you never ask a question if you do not know the answer. So when I ask, what do we want to do with these 2 million children, UPC has an answer. How are we going to deal with the children who are going into school? The children who are going to study under difficult conditions, UPC has an answer. Starvation. I wrote in December, while I was under pressure, while UPC was being fought by some of these shadowy groups which are not parties, they're not what, but want to determine all the things they can determine the future of Uganda. I wrote a paper which looked at the future of Uganda as a key pillar of food security in the sub-region, not only in Uganda. I know this for a fact that Uganda is able to feed itself and feed its neighbors. I have a paper. I will stand by that paper, and that paper has been shared. We now get Ugandans starving in Karamoja. and the news is a distraction. Some people who think they should be in power, yet they don't have the first idea of what they can do to help the lives of the people of Uganda. UPC's mission is to improve the standard of living of the citizens of Uganda. That's the basic, and that's as simple as I can put it. And we've always looked for creative ways. We've always looked for ideas. We've looked for ways of how we can change their lives. I raised the alarm. Ugandan children are starving today. They want to take us to history. How many of you were alive in 79? Do you even know what was going on in 79? Election 1980, how many were alive? Do you know? But somebody creates a distortion. UPC was so bad, so we have to no, you can't have democracy. UPC was so bad. Yet UPC has the idea of the help Uganda. Does that contradiction sit well with people? That party we could build a health service, we could save people of Uganda. The same party which is the one supposedly killing the Ugandans. And the one which cannot even maintain a health service is the one protecting Ugandans. Let's be honest with ourselves and let's be true. We are more likely to die of malaria than a terrorist. Trust me. You are more likely to lose a relative to malaria than a terrorist. But Uganda is prepared for the terrorists. You saw 11,000 passed out. Wait, 2 weeks ago? 11,000. Are they going to be dealing with malaria? On the question of 72, I want to ask the President directly on this one. I have a veteran, a 72 veteran. He fought in 72. He got disconnected. In his group, he came out alone, alive. But after that war, it completely distorted his thinking and his ability to function. So 78, 79, he did not participate. He returned to Uganda, I think in the 2020s. But this is a veteran who served his country, struggled, but he's a banker. I was taking care of him as best as I could, and I shall continue to do so. We also have other veterans who have served this country. I have another veteran who cancer is eating him up, but they served their country. They did the best they could with what they had, in the belief that this country belongs to all of us, in the belief that we can all live in this country, in the belief that all of us can have something to contribute to this country. I'm glad that those of the Uganda UNRF were catered for. I am also calling for those of UNLA, those of UA like that veteran of 72, those of Kikosu Malum who fought to liberate Uganda in 79. Let us honor all our veterans because it's the only country we have.